Well, as you can see behind me, we've got a Jeep, and in this episode, we are installing a tow bar. Is it a scam when you pay someone to do this, or can you save your money and do it yourself?
But of course, saving $1,000 to $2,000 isn't everything. We show you guys that this thing is super strong because we did 4,000 kilometers straight after installing it and traveling all across Australia while having a car on the back.
Now, once you've got that wrapping off, we can actually have a look at what we got here, and I'm pretty impressed with what this has come with. A lot of things actually came extra, like I wasn't planning on getting these. I never actually saw anything about tow ball, but it comes with tow balls. So pretty much you'll be able to just bolt this all up and you should be ready to go if you have your wiring done, which we don't. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna see how we actually bolt this up, because luckily, and I'm very happy to say, they did come with instructions, which is a pretty rarity these days. So let's go for this and see what we have to do first.
Step one is drop the exhaust. Now I know a lot of you guys might be a bit nervous about hearing this, but don't worry, it's very straightforward. All I'm doing is I'm using a bit of chain, some zip ties, because I don't have an exhaust stand. Pretty much anything you guys got around the house is going to be fine. Just make sure that everything's cooled down before you do this. Next thing is, you got to try and get these exhaust mounts off. Unfortunately, these are not in an accessible spot, but what I'd recommend to do is get some silicone spray or some CRC, anything to help these slide off the actual tubing, and just a bit of patience and you'll get it eventually. Now, instead of doing step 2, I am jumping straight to step 3, and there's a couple of reasons why I'm doing it. One, we have no idea if this is the exact tow ball for this car. They could have shipped us something wrong. You never know. You don't want to go cutting your bumper and then finding out you got the wrong one, because there's a heap of different models in this particular Jeep. So while one bumper might need no cutting, another bumper might need more. So it's best just to test fit and go from there.
All right, so as you can see, we've just temporarily just got this sitting here. Okay, now if I rock it into the right position, you can see that, unfortunately, we do have to just nick this bumper. I wonder if this is because this is like a Trailhawk, so maybe the body kit's a bit different on the back, but that's all right. I mean, I'm not mad about that, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my little pen here, and I'm just gonna mark it. Now, in the actual instructions, it does give you a rough estimate of where you should cut. I'm glad I didn't just cut it. I'm glad I checked it first, because I really only have to take out bugger all to make this fit in nicely. But yeah, that's gonna get in really good. So far, this is going really well so far.
Now I'm gonna regret that later, but for now, what I'm gonna do is gonna take this thing back off and I'm gonna cut out this section of plastic.
It's a good workout, you see. Whoa.
Now what I'm using is a drill bit to try and do the edges, trying to make it look good, and then I'm going over there with my cutter and try and cut out those bits of plastics, go over it with a bit of sandpaper and a Stanley trimmer. Now, of course, you could cut through this really quickly, but I like to take my time because I really want to make sure they get a nice looking fit. So actually, I did this, put it back on, measured it again, cut a little bit more out until I got it perfect. Of course, now I'm left with the task of actually installing it. Now, that's pretty easy getting this up and putting in the first bolts, but then you got to add this piece here to the right spot. Now, the only reason I think they've done this is because this chassis has a welded bit onto it, so I think this is just trying to take up the gap. The next part we got to do, and I think it's a great design, is these other little plates that we got to put in underneath to hold up that big section. This gets more involved, but we'll show you that later in the video. But for now, I'm just going to leave this loose till I'm ready to torque everything up.
All right, so as you can see, we've got everything pretty much where it needs to be. What I've noticed is the chassis is a bit further apart, and I think what's happened is when they've welded it, you know, the metal's warped a little bit. So we're gonna bolt these up properly. We're gonna pull them to torque pretty much. They've actually given us a torque setting on the sheet. M16, I'll have to check if these are M16s, but they reckon 190 Newton meters of torque for M16. If it's an M14, which I don't think they are, it's 122. So we're gonna get my torque wrench, we're gonna pull these up, and hopefully that makes everything line up. So it's looking good.
Now, for you guys that don't know, this is a torque wrench, and it makes the most satisfying sound ever. Its job is super important. What's awesome about this wrench is you can adjust your torque setting to whatever you want. And at the moment, I've got this set to 80 Newton meters of torque.
Okay, so I finished just tying these up. I haven't locked them off yet because these also have a torque setting. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna torque this one up, and then I'm gonna go over and then torque all of them up. So this one, the other side, torque these up, and then finish them off with torquing the top. And we'll see how we go. I reckon it's going to make some pretty interesting noises because we're like forming the chassis to this, which is pretty crazy. But it's definitely not going to go anywhere. A lot of the kits I saw online only had the top screws. They didn't have this little bottom plate either. So this is just extra insurance, which I love. Anyway, let's go and torque them up and listen to this metal groan.
Oh, you're such a strong man. Yes, make her tighter. Tighter. What's taking so long? I want to hear that. I want to hear that. Come on, you're always there. Make it, make it, make it, make it.
All right, so now we're up to this bit where we have to do something that's going to make people a bit uncomfortable, and that is you have to drill a hole in your chassis. Now, the reason why we have to do this. Now, with these normally, they're meant to have an extra bolt here. For some reason, this car doesn't have one, so I'm going to get another bolt and I'll put this one in here because that's what they suggest. But in this side, there is no hole for another bolt. So what we're going to have to do is you get this one that they supply. We're going to have to pre-drill a hole now that it's all fixed up, and we have to feed this inside the chassis and drop it down, and then we put a nut on it. So yeah, so that's going to be quite interesting. So I'm going to get the drill. We're going to drill a 11mm hole, I'm pretty sure, and we're going to feed this through. It's going to be interesting because the exhaust is in the way, and this is as low as they go. So fun.
Now what I'm doing is I am pre-drilling the hole only because my larger drill bits are blunt thanks to Ben. But anyway, I recommend doing this, and I recommend holding the drill this way, not how I'm holding the drill like this. This is a great way to break your jaw, and the reason why I'm doing it, I have no idea. I guess the exhaust is still in the way, which I was worried about. I did manage to drop it down a little bit, I just had to use some extra zip ties. But once these are drilled, you get your bolt, you stretch out the piece of metal, and you have a little play and you try and get it in the hole, and then you just tighten up the bolt. The best thing is because it has that piece of wire welded to it, all you got to do is just torque it up.
All right, so we've got them all torqued down now. Now, what they recommend is every 1,000 kilometers, re-torque them all back up. This is a way you can check it, visually check it to make sure they're still torqued up, and that's with a pen. And what you do is you just mark it on the metal and mark it on the bolt and the washer. Get the whole lot on there like that. And the reason why we're doing that is if these become loose, those lines aren't going to line up anymore. So you could visually check this really quick, be like, oh yeah, it's moved, it needs to be tightened back up. I mean, yes, you should probably, every time you service the car, definitely check them, but this is just a quick, easy way just to visually get it right. Now, this is all done. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the exhaust back on, and we are going to start doing the wiring.
So I'm actually getting carried away with myself. The next thing we actually got to do is install the Towbar, which you saw me whack my head on earlier. Now this thing needs to be tightened up to 300 Newton meters of torque. Now, my torque wrench only goes up to 203, so I had to pretty much just swing off this thing and hope that it got there. But yes, highly recommend that you get a torque wrench that can get you to 300. Or an ugga-dugga that at least does something similar. But once that was done, the rest is history. All we did was put everything back together, how we took it apart, and everything went back in. Only thing I did different was I greased up those exhaust brackets.
So now that we got this done and it's looking really well, it's time to do the wiring. And here's the things you are going to need for this next job. First off, you obviously need the wiring. 2 meters of 7 core, 10 amp, 5 amp, whatever you can get your hands on, that will do the job. The next thing is you're going to need your local plug. Now, West Australia, we have circle plugs. We've got 7 connectors and it's got the colouring on the back. Also, you can buy the mounting bracket, which is really important for a bit later, which I'm going to show you about. Next up, you're going to need a soldering iron, tape, solder. If you can, get some of these. These are great. These are wire separator. Like, you'll see what they do in a second. A screwdriver, a pliers, and some wire strippers. That's the basic stuff. The next thing you need to do is obviously take out these headlights, maybe take out a bit of trim and get to some cords. So let's do it.
So tail lights, what's interesting about these is they pretty much all come out the same way. Usually they have some screws, but in this case, we have these little plastic clips, which I personally think are total crap. What are you going to do? They are there for a purpose. So you get a flat blade screwdriver, you flick out the head, and then the rest comes out. And then what you got to do is just give a quiet little shove, and these tail lights come out. Now, something interesting about these tail lights is you got 2 old school globes, and then you've got an LED. So that is something to be aware of when you're cutting in for your trailer lights.
Well, we got both of those tail lights out. That wasn't actually too hard. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slice in this wiring. Now, most of the wiring is going to go to one side, and then we're going to run just one wire to the opposite side to pick up that side indicator. How do you get your lengths? It depends how you want to run this. You can do it like this. But what I like to do is I like to go halfway like that. Oh, no, it's not enough. There, it's going to reach. There, that's going to reach. And then I like to run my Stanley blade around just to break it, and then run my Stanley blade all the way down like this to that slice, and then peel it off. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just make sure you don't push too hard because you don't want to cut into your wiring.
Now, while I'm stripping that wire, I thought I'll bring up a diagram so you can actually see what I'm doing. Now, you will notice I'm running 2 wires off to the right-hand side there. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it's just going to be stronger. Also, I can zip tie it better, tape it up. It's just going to make life so much easier.
Well, there you go. That is the end result. And as you can see, what I've done is I've just looped this back onto itself, and I've ran the earth and this side indicator on that side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the main side first. It's easy. You just chuck it down there. You don't have to be too picky about it. Keep going, and what we'll have to do then is get underneath the car and then pull that to where we want it. And then we're going to have to feed a wire on the other side to pick up the other side.
Talking about feeding something, what I've done is I've got a nice big cable, HDMI, and I've just rammed it down that hole on the other side. And the reason why I've done this is now what I can do is tape the wire that I've made and then pull it up through the hole so I can connect it to the wiring. Now, of course, you guys are watching this video because you want to know where I'm running this wire, and this is the underside where I'm running the wire. As you can see, there is wiring already here. Just zip tie your new wiring to what is existing. Now, I'm going to grab a little bit of this stuff because we are going to put the knob on this wiring.
All right, now that we've got this roughly where we want it, next bit is this cord. Now, you want to give yourself a little bit of extra cord because, you know, over the years, this is going to get damaged. You're going to want an extra cord to cut. So give yourself a fair bit. Look, so that's hard up. I'm probably going to give myself 200 mil of extra cord. Get that. Give that a cut. Now, the manufacturer was really kind to us, and they have given us this. Pretty much a cheat card to get this done. So all we got to do is we just got to cut this back a bit and then wire it into this, and we're pretty much all good. Just remember before you do that to slide on all these grommets and stuff before you wire this in, otherwise you're going to have to undo all your work. Just ask how I know.
Now let's get to the nitty gritty of our 7-pin plug. Now, as you can see, the brown wire is the middle wire, and that is your rear lamps and your side of lamps. Now, this is an important one because this is the only wire that's a bit shorter than the rest, about 10 mil. You want to cut everything to the same length. You also want to expose your wire by 3 to 4 mil so you can get these in properly and tie them up. You will need a Phillips screwdriver to get this done.
Now that we've got that done, it's time to move over to the wiring up here. Now, as you can see, I've got the indicators going and I've got my multimeter here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put it on to ohms. All right, so onto ohms. First thing we want to do is we want to find earth. Now, we get one wire here and we put it on the exhaust. If you've got a good exhaust, it should be earthed, and then we test it. And we're waiting to hear a beep. All right, so we know that the black is the earth. And the next thing we want to do is just double check. We're going to check this over to volts. Make sure you get into the right range. This is on AC, so we want DC, direct current. No, not more. There we go, onto volts, DC volts. And we're just going to check. Black one onto earth, or we can earth here. and we'll just check. Right, as you can see, we got 10 volts, 9 volts flashing there. And to double check that it's earthed. Yep, definitely. All right, so we know that's earth, and we know the white wire is the positive. Now I know this is gonna irk some people, but we're gonna have to swap something around. So the earth is white, and this indicator is green. So white goes to black, and green goes to positive. All right, now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn the indicators off, and I'm gonna solder them in and tape them up. But yeah, I know, isn't that weird?
Now, before you go crazy soldering in all those wires, what you really want to do is make sure that you get everything connected and tested before you commit to actually welding up. And that's what I did with the other side. And here you can see which wires are going where. Now you're going to see that I got 2 leftover wires, a blue and a black wire. The black wire is for reverse lights, and the blue wire is for electric brakes. Both we're not using, so they're going to be tucked away and maybe used for a later date.
Right, now I said I was going to show you a trick, and this is what it is. They clearly say in these instructions, do not drill, do not weld, do not touch this at all. Now the problem on this particular car, there is nothing to actually mount this to. Sure, you could just zip tie it up like that, and look, people do that, and that's fine. A lot of people actually even put these in the boot, so you just hang them out of the boot when you're doing it. But look, you know, on a black car, scratchy paint, not great. There is another solution, and the solution is one of these. What we're gonna do, or what I've already done, is I've cut a little groove in the bracket, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed this through like that, and I'm gonna wrap it around this bit of bar and tighten it up, and that way we haven't drilled it, we haven't welded it, we've done no structural damage to this thing at all. So by doing this, it's just an easy way. It's going to mount up nice and tight. And look, it's just a little trick, but really it's up to you guys. But you could just drill it or pot rivet it or weld it. It should be fine, but if you're going through the pits or something, look, just do what the instructions say. Use a hose clamp like this, easy done. They only cost a couple of dollars. Put it on. So let's do that now and finish this off.
And now we get to the best part of the install, finishing it off. And I'm doing it with 2 nice hex stainless steel screws that I'm screwing into that bracket that I pre-bought. And really, once that's done, all that's left to do is sit back and admire my work.
And there you go, it's all done. Now a couple of things to think about before you go is this little part here. Use your multimeter, test it, make sure that your indicators are working, that they're on the correct side. You know, your brakes are working, your tail lights are working, everything is working before you go on a 1,000-kilometer trip like I am. Another thing is, how long did this all take me? Well, it took me about 4 hours to 5 hours to do this bit. This is my first time doing it, so I mean, yeah, it's going to take me longer, obviously, but someone that's done this before probably wouldn't take so long. And the wiring bit, look, realistically, you can knock this off within 2 hours. It's taken me 3 because obviously I'm filming. It takes a bit longer to film stuff and do it. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really basic stuff. And electric brakes, when we go to that, we'll do a video on how you can install electric brakes as well. There's actually a cheat code to that, where you can use electric brakes on all your cars without having to spend the module on every single one. It's kind of just a plug and play thing, which I'll show you guys on another episode. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you on the next one. Catch ya. Some exciting news. Look like you just lost a tooth. How's it feel? Where's the tooth? Oh, she's a baby tooth. Look at that. Very nice, mate. Right before school photos. Doll.